in some ways, the late Freud works are looked at as kind of as an extravagance on Freud's part. He didn't have to do a critique of religion and the future of evolution. He didn't have to do a critique of society. He didn't have to play the role of philosopher/sociologist. And certainly Moses and Monotheism, when he does an analysis of the origins of Judaism, he didn't have to do that either. In fact, that's probably one of the most seemingly embarrassing texts of Freud's work, although I think it's completely consistent with everything he wrote before that. So the question, it seemed like what he did in his late work was kind of like just a bonus, just extra. You don't have to look at it. It's of no great consequence. But in my view, what I do is something that, in fact, hardly anybody ever really does, is I just take Freud seriously. I read his work. I follow him along. His late work are his final works. And so the subtitle I have there it's not entirely tongue-in-cheek. These are Freud's the last word on psychoanalysis is not just mine. This is my last word on psychoanalysis. It's Freud's, these are his last words on psychoanalysis. And what's interesting, he says this is what psychoanalysis is as he's talking about religion and society.
Right.
Well, that's really important. It's only not important if you think that Freud's own view of what he was doing is not important. Well, I think it's important. And if you just follow what he says, it reveals a quite different picture than what we have of Freud. One of the reasons is that people don't read the late Freud. Not really. They don't read it as scholars. And they certainly don't believe what Freud says, or they'll say he didn't really mean what he said. I simply say he meant what he said. He meant what he said. And he meant it in this very last work, Moses and Monotheism, which is this work that embarrasses people. But it's absolutely, in my view, not like some break with the past. Doesn't it make more sense to say it's not a break, and it's in fact the realization of his entire life work, his vision? And that's my position. My position is the late works are Freud's commentary on psychoanalysis by Freud. We don't need to do anything to add to that except for simply reveal what he has to say.
Right.
So as a critic,